This is like a smaller article. It's more just announcing season. I don't know if you've watched Cobra Kai at all. Have you seen any of it?
I saw the first season.
Okay,
first season.
The YouTube Red season of it, and there's some interesting stuff that I learned about this as well. But this is basically just giving a heads up that they've finished filming season 5 even before season 4 comes out. So that's very presumptuous. It says, after binge watching every episode of season 4, fans shouldn't have to wait long for Cobra Kai season 5. Netflix will release the 4th season of the Karate Kid sequel series towards the end of the month. Season 3 aired on January 1st, giving subscribers 2 seasons to watch on the streamer in a single year. So they're releasing it rather fast. It says, while some fans will watch the new episodes as soon as they're available, and then by January 1st, Netflix will probably be hearing requests for season 5. The good news for those Cobra Kai addicts is that the season 5 is complete and entering post-production. The information comes from Cobra Kai producer and co-creator John Hurwitz, who announced the end of season 5 on Twitter. What I heard, and this is what if I'm to say that there's something that worries me about this, is that season 3 is very good. I'm halfway. I'm on the last 2 episodes of season 2 again. I've been rewatching it in preparation to start season 4. But what I've learned is that season 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all filmed before Netflix bought the series.
Yeah.
Given how much I tend to not trust Netflix with anything that they make that has to do with a remake or a reboot or a continuation, I worry if they're going to try and put their own stamp on it in a way that will hurt how well this show has done at proving that you can continue a series and pay homage to the original and not insult the core audience that came with it, while still expanding the lore and making way for new characters. Because that's what always seems to be the problem with these things, whether it's the Disney sequel trilogy or or Star Trek in its current form. It's very hard for these studios, for some reason, to be able to produce something new that both pays homage to the original material without they seem to think that to make new characters good, you have to make the old characters look bad. This show does a very good job of not doing that in the slightest. We had an article we covered a couple weeks ago where the creator of the show said, some people have had questions about who the strongest person in the Cobra Kai universe is. I love the idea that they think of it as a universe.
Miyagi.
And he says, Mr. Miyagi will always be the strongest character in this universe, which shows a clear amount of respect and reverence for the material in which the show is based on. Plus, they've expanded. It's not Heartless or a shot-for-shot remake. They've kind of expanded it and made it its own thing. There was that. I don't know if you've ever paid attention to like theories about the show. Like a lot of people considered him to be the bad guy. Not Johnny, but considered LaRusso to be the bad guy because the kick at the end was not technically legal or whatever,
right.
Which was probably just an oversight in script editing, right? But a lot of people, considered him to be the bad guy. And in season 1, he kind of is not the bad guy, but they paint all these characters in shades of gray. So
50 Shades of Grey.
No,
no,
Miracle. They do not.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I don't know if I trust that season 5 will be as good as season 1, 2, and 3 are. I'll have to see how season 4 goes. But if season 4 was also done before Netflix was involved, who knows if that's even an indication, right?
But what's even more concerning is that it seems that they fast tracked season 5, right? So I mean, if they tend to cut corners and sort of put out these weird follow-ups or remakes or reboots or whatever, then there's a valid reason to be concerned here.
There's reasons to do that, especially with child actors because they age faster. They're in their early 20s. They're at a period in time where on the younger half of those 20 of those kids will look a lot different in a couple of years than they would beforehand, right? The producers likely, I mean, it's not an effects heavy show, so they can push through post, I'm guessing, a lot faster than something with a lot of animation or a lot of CGI. I'm guessing you're just not getting a lot of that in the show. I believe it's filmed in Georgia, so I don't know if there's implications for the seasons there. I don't think that would matter in Georgia, but in general, when people ask about because I get into the argument with people all the time because I tend to be a very positive-minded person when it comes to media. I give most things the benefit of the doubt before I'm inevitably let down. And when people want an example, of how to do if you're going to latch on to old IP and you're going to use it to make something new. This is the gold standard for how to honor what came before it while building new characters. Most people who I talk to's favorite characters now have nothing to do with Daniel or with any of them. Like most of the like I think one of my friends still thinks Kreese is the best guy. John Kreese is the best guy, but for the most part, I find that they find the kid actors or the ones who are where the story's a little bit more heartfelt in a way. Like, I'm not, that's a horrible way of describing it, but it goes back to those stories of old of kids finding themselves, and they're using the other characters as a vehicle to tell stories about kids again, because that's what the original Karate Kid was. Miyagi might have been the standout to a lot of people, but Daniel was who the story was focused around. So this show does it better than just about anything that I've seen coming out. Ghostbusters Afterlife did it very, very well as well, in my opinion. But it's like these people should be taking notes on how to do this, because you can only fail so many times trying to create something out of an old property, which inevitably just doesn't work out. We're going to talk about that later with Cowboy Bebop, though that's not a continuation, that's an adaptation. Did you see the original Karate Kid?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, that was a big movie for me. The whole series.
Favorite character?
Daniel.
Yeah,
definitely. But I really like him as an actor, and I really like the quality that he has in that movie. I mean, Miyagi, I'm kind of tempted to say that, but no, it's Daniel for sure.
And like, because we always, the example I always go back to of how they fail at this is The Last Jedi, which bastardizes and attempts to deconstruct Luke Skywalker, right? And so the character who is eternally optimistic, almost to a fault, is suddenly forlorn and negative, and everybody sees it. Even somebody who's only like vaguely connected to Star Wars, like me, who like has seen the movies, saw some of Clone Wars, but for the most part, it's the original trilogy. Looks at that and says, "That's not Luke Skywalker. That's not anything like what he's like." On top of the fact that they change the tone and make it modern day with the humor, and the way that they portray everything is not serious in the way, or it's not in the tone of the original Star Wars. So in this, Daniel is just, he was cocky in the original, but had flaws, and he's the same here. He struggles to balance his life. He is not perfect in any respect. I feel bad for his wife in the show, who just gets kicked to the side over and over again, so this dude can have a midlife crisis and start a karate dojo, literally because he thinks that a rival dojo is bad. Like, you have to you can only do this. The show, proof that the show is good is that nobody stops and thinks, that's ridiculous. No adult who owns a car dealership is worried about a rival dojo in California.
Yeah, but they render all that plausible because, like you said, I'm really like racking my brain to think of another example of a reboot or a revisitation or something like that really dials into the spirit and tone and world of the original. And that's why I thought that the first season of this show was just incredible. Like we just sucked it up in our house.
Especially considering how bad it could have gone.
Yeah. Every episode you think that it might take a turn for the worse.
When you think about how like ridiculous the premise is.
Yeah.
And how like kind of those actors are kind of typecast now. Like if you look at a lot of their credits, it's like they would go on The Late Show and play Daniel LaRusso. It's I just couldn't believe how good it worked, especially focusing on Johnny, who is for the most part a Gen Xer's wet dream, right?
Yeah.
He's exactly that. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm on the out. I'm not Gen X. I'm the edge of millennial to Gen X. So I'm 35. So it's like right in that realm there. But I want to call them kids, but they're not really kids. They're teenagers, right? Yeah. Those it could fail if those actors weren't good enough to pull it off. I love Mary Mauser as his daughter in the show, and I love the actress that plays his wife. It feels like a connected family in a way that sometimes fails in shows like this, where the family's just the backdrop.
Yeah.
So, and I know Miracle's not a huge fan of the show.
Fan? How far did you get into it?
Oh, in fact, I'd like your why?
Well, I said it was like too cheesy. I don't like cheesy action movies like this, even though I love Bloodsport.
Right. But that's the exception. Yeah. Okay.
But it's because like I did grow up with the original Karate Kid. I forgot I did. Because I do have it somewhere in my old house.
I don't think it's cheesy. I think they go out of their way to make it shades of gray. Like the fact that Johnny is not portrayed as just a dumb villain.
Well, I only said it was cheesy because like there's a moment where like I think it's in season 3, the actress who plays as Daniel's daughter, where she's like, okay, I just need to breathe, meditate, and she goes like, and like she does this, and I'm like, that is so stereotypical yoga mom right there. And then she like punches Peyton List, and I'm like, wow, that's all you need to do. I need to start doing that and punch Brett in the face.
And that threw you out of it. That moment.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm done with this
movie. It's a karate show. It's like you have to make concessions in certain areas.
Right.
Well,
no, that criticism has floated around from a lot of people. A lot of people that I know say this is just too cheesy for me. I don't really understand that criticism, but a lot of people seem to have that reaction.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not into cheesy karate movies.
You keep saying cheesy. I don't think one moment that comes off as cheesy necessarily makes the entirety of the process.
Well, I did feel bad for the kid. Is his name Miguel?
Miguel.
Yeah. I did feel bad for him when he got his back broken.
Yeah. That's legitimately tragic and sad.
Yeah.
Not to mention his the story not of Miguel but of Robbie and his absentee mom and all the stuff that comes along with that. Like those are hard stories to tell. Kreese is like cartoonish in places, but then they find out like he got messed up from the war and never after Cobra Kai fell, he kind of just floated around. Like it's that actually like not rang true to me, but like that's a very, very common story, right?
Sure.
Trauma leads to you don't have some big failure. You just kind of lose yourself and you never find your way back, or one failure means that you never find your way back to anything else. You just kind of exist, and that's almost worse. And that's a deep story for a show about rival karate dojos in California to work on. Right? Or in the same holds true for Johnny, right? Like after that, like his life is he works his odd jobs and he's not really put together. He feels like a man who lost his time.
Yeah.
He's living in an era that he doesn't understand. And to me, that is pretty deep for such a ridiculous premise.
But I mean, it's not on the page necessarily. It's the way that the actors portray that experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really, really fell in love with the first season. Second season, I dodged out.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
I'm just rewatching it with Brett, and I'm like, I'm okay.
Not for you.
Yeah,
well,
I'm like,
you guys are wrong.
Well, I can do without it. Yeah.
It's to me, it's just one of those things. Like I'm so starved for things that seem to pay attention to fans that I give. Maybe it's just that I give a lot of leeway.
Maybe you're a fanboy.
I'm gonna ignore her. We're ignoring her. Like I'm starved for any type of medium within Hollywood that doesn't treat the fans like trash, that doesn't have the cast going around being like douches to people on Twitter. And it seems like, given how well Spider-Man did, if you treat the source material well and you don't act insane on to your fans on social media, you can reap the benefits. And shows like it's not easy, but it can be done. And this is proof. This show's got 5 seasons now before the 4th even comes out, so they clearly have a lot of faith in the show doing well.
Well, I mean, the foundation of this show was just so solid. Like, I loved that first season. And I loved how flawlessly they folded in all of these scenes from the original.
Yes.
It looked like they had been remastered, too, because they look beautiful. That
could have easily gone wrong, too. And they don't overuse it.
Yep.
They don't overuse the old footage like they could have.
Right.
So
awesome.
I just like that's one of those things, and they don't do like the cheesy flashback where it's like it white an additive dissolve hits and then all of a sudden it flashes back. It seamlessly fits into the scene that they're working in, and it does look like those shots have been remastered and maybe filtered through for the digital process.
Yeah, loved it. Big fan early on.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.